Hello crafters and welcome to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. This is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and today I have a bit of fun to share with some shakers. So I'm using some I'm actually using some tag dies, and we're going to turn them into shakers, and we're going to add some fun to these shakers by adding some gilding foil. Now I don't know if you've done this before, but it adds just a little bit of extra pizzazz and a lot of shine. So I'm going to be using the Mary tag and the Wishes tag. And these are two different designs of tags. You can use any tag dies that you have on hand. It really doesn't matter as long as you have a craft knife. Any type of craft knife will do. You can see I have this extensive set, which is really not necessary. You just need any craft knife that's going to work well for you. And then I've got the EAPs, and the EAPs are perfect for this type of design because you spend most of your time making the shaker out of the tag dies, and then the EAPs are really simple to just cut out and put together and add to those tag dies to create these in a quicker way than it would be to, say, do some stamping and die cutting and more of that stuff. Now I do have a bunch of embellishments here. These three here were from the recent release. I'm not going to use them, and that's because they are highly coveted in my stash, so I'm going to keep them aside, and I don't like to use them in large amounts. I tend to have a stash of other gems that are a little lower in price point that I can just use a whole bunch of. Now I've got my Gilding Flakes there. They're Nouveau Gilding Flakes in gold and silver. We'll be using that. Now here's a tag I created already. There's actually a reel for that. And you can see that that's the idea that we're going for. So let's go ahead and get started. Now when it comes to making these shaker tags with the Gilding Flakes, because the Gilding Flakes are shinier and brighter, I like to use darker colors. You can see how nicely those stand out on the dark green and the dark blue, and you can see here I've got the black. So it just really makes that stand out a little bit more. If you want to make it with white and a lighter color, you can do that too. I just prefer the darker and the contrast in the two colors. Now, I'm grabbing both of those tags. Remember, they're the Mary and the Wishes tag, and I've cut them out twice actually, two from blue and two from green cardstock. And now you can see I'm just grabbing my craft knife and my ruler, and I'm cutting any type of window that I want. Now this is where the fun comes in. You can make your window what you want. I'm sorry, my head keeps getting in the way there, so sorry about that, but I'm just trying to get a nice straight line here. Now I'm not doing any measuring here. I'm just really trying to line things up with the ruler and then the edge of the tag, or with the first cut. And so when I cut the edges here, do please keep in mind that you want to keep a width that's big enough so that you can add your foam tape behind it, and you're not going to have to worry about cutting it. If you're okay with cutting your foam tape, then it doesn't really matter. I just find that when I cut my foam tape like lengthwise, my scissors get really sticky, and then sometimes it stretches the foam. So this just works best for me. So on my second tag here, I'm going to just do a square, keep it pretty simple, and that's pretty much it. So keep in mind, we have two of these die cuts, one with the window and one that's going to form the back. And what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting out some gold mirror cardstock, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other tag. I'll use some silver mirror cardstock. What I like to do is I like to adhere this. You're probably wondering, what the heck are you doing? How are we going to have a window if you're covering it up? Don't worry about that. I'm going to cut out the centers again, and all this does is it creates a nice little shiny frame around the edge of the window. I just like to add this because I feel like it adds an extra shiny touch to it, and it looks really nice in the end. So all I'm doing here is I'm using my ruler, I'm lining it up with the edge, which I've already cut anyway, so this is really easy. You just have to keep the same width of that frame as you go around all four sides. And in the end, you'll notice once it's done, it actually looks really nice. And by adding this frame on, I widened up my left and right edge, which is the perfect size for my foam adhesive. So if, say, you do cut your window and you've cut it a little bit small, you can always add a frame like this, and it will basically just widen up your edges for your foam tape. So now that that's done, I'm going ahead and I'm adding some acetate. If you don't have acetate, you can use some packaging there. It's a great way to recycle your packaging and not waste that much, but I do have some acetate on hand. The packaging, it comes in handy. It's great if you don't have the acetate. However, I do find that the acetate's a little bit thicker. And so I can add a little bit extra to my shaker without worrying about it falling out or coming apart. So I've gone ahead and I've adhered this. You can see that I'm really pressing it down to ensure everything is stuck together permanently. And I'll do the same thing for the other tag. Now, as I said, the way that you put your shaker together is completely up to you. I would think that the steps up to here are pretty standard, right? You put your window together, and then the next step is what works for you. Some people like to kind of leave the back open and put everything in and then add the other piece to complete the shaker. Some people like to adhere two sides and then kind of stick things in. Whatever works best for you is what you can do, but I find that this technique works the best when you're using the gilding flakes, which tend to go all over the place. So I'm just creating my well here for my window. I'm making sure that my foam adhesive goes from end to end so that there's no holes or gaps so that my shaker elements don't fall out of the tag. And then I'm also adding some extra adhesive along the other edges of the die cut that are going to get adhered to the second die cut to ensure that that width of the tag is maintained. So I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing for the second tag die. And as you see, it really doesn't take too much to get that done. And the next step, I would say, is absolutely crucial. I don't always do this for shaker tags or cards. I know that it's recommended, but for this type of shaker, you have to do it, I would say. I'm just adding some anti-static powder around the edges of my window just to get rid of a bit of the stickiness of that tape just on the inner part of that foam tape. Because what it tends to do is stick to the gilding flakes, and then all your gilding flakes are just around the edge of your window and not quite in the center. I like having some of the flakes around the edge, don't get me wrong, but I also want to see some in the center. So that's the main reason for doing it. Now you'll notice I've taken off all of the release paper from all of my foam tape, and now I'm going to add my gilding flakes. So do keep in mind that the gilding flakes do fly everywhere. Just a little slight breath is going to make them fly. So please be careful. If you want to, you can use a mask. Just put, like, everyone has a mask nowadays because of COVID. So all you have to do is just put one of those on, and that'll prevent it from flying if you're a heavy breather or you can't control that. And also, if you don't want to make too much of a mess in your workspace, you can use an old shoebox or basically any box that's going to contain this, and then you don't have to worry about it flying all over. So now on top of those gilding flakes, I'm adding some seed beads and some gold foil sequins. So I'm not adding too much of the sequins. They're a little bit more of a higher price point, but seed beads are totally inexpensive. And remember, the shine is going to come from the gilding flakes. So you really don't have to add anything too expensive in terms of gems or shaker bits on the inside of this shaker. So I find that the gilding flakes are really good for you to save on shaker elements, and gives you all of that extra shine and pizzazz and just a nice different look. You can see as I shake it around, the seed beads that are a bit heavier are kind of breaking apart the foil a little more, so you get a lot more speckles in the window. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the silver foil. And you can see I carefully added it there in the center. There are pieces that are sticking to the edge of that foam. That's completely fine, as long as it's not covering the exact, like the whole width of that foam tape, so that your back panel can still be adhered. So I've added again some clear seed beads and some silver foil sequins this time. And now I'm just going to attach the back very carefully, lining it up. And how gorgeous does that look? It just gives a nice kind of crackle effect, I would say, with a lot of shine. So now that I've got the main shakers put together, I can go ahead and design them, add some extra bits to the design, and this is where the EAPs come in handy. Now, I'm going to be using the Blooming Noel. I've got the Flora wreath, Festive Flora wreath set, and then I'm also going to be using the Evergreen Elegance set. Now, I'm only cutting the first two here because I need more of these die cuts. However, the Evergreen Elegance, I've cut this from a previous project, and I have a whole bunch of the pieces left over. So this is where having containers really comes in handy for sets like these where you have a ton of die cuts being cut at once, but you're not necessarily using everything on your project. So what I like to do to keep things inexpensive and to recycle is to keep like cookie tins, to keep chocolate boxes like the lint boxes and stuff like that. And then what I do is every time I cut out a bunch of these pieces, I just put them in the box and then I can kind of sort through and pick what I want. If you got a larger cookie tin, you can actually use some cardboard and cut them into strips and then attach them together with slits to create like an organizer if you wanted. So there's really tons of options there. Now you can see here that I've actually foiled the two sentiments and they foiled so flawlessly using the glimmer machine. Now there's a video with this technique that I posted on the Crafty Meraki channel last Saturday, so you could check that out if you want to figure out that technique. And the main thing for that is that you need a solid plate. So you use your solid plate with your deco foil and your toner sheets, the EAP sheets, which are toner sheets, and you get gorgeous results with the foiling. Now, you just have to remember one main thing, which is that if you're going to use the toner sheets or toner EAPs, which is what they are, you use the deco foil and a solid plate. If you're going to use a hot foil plate, which there are also options for this with this release, you use the hot foil plate with the glimmer machine and you use the glimmer foil. So that's the main thing. You kind of keep those two things in different columns and you're going to have great results every time. Now, the reason why I came out with the technique of using the deco foil with the toner sheets is because in Canada we have like a lower voltage. I mean, it's rated about the same as the US, but I have to say the electricity is a little less. I notice my hair straightener, it doesn't get as hot as in other areas of the world. And it's the same thing with my laminator. It could be my laminator, who knows? It doesn't heat up as hot as it should, and then I don't get proper foiling with the deco foil. So this is why I found the glimmer machine just works better. And if you have that problem like I do, you're Canadian, have that problem like I do, your laminator's not that great, and you have that problem like I do, definitely the glimmer machine is the way to go. So you can see here that as I was kind of babbling on there, I've put together the first tag. I've kind of just added a bunch of greenery with the blooming Noel leaves, and then also the Evergreen Elegance leaves, and then added the two poinsettias with that joy sentiment. And then for the second tag here, I'm adding this blue wreath, and I'm just kind of cutting off the edges and having it at the top and the bottom of the tag, kind of framing the window there. And then I'm going to add that fa la la, which was foiled with some teal deco foil. And they are looking absolutely stunning with all of those gilding flakes in the window. And I have to say, like, I didn't plan out that second tag there with the blue foliage and the blue wreath. It just kind of came together. I did the silver and the blue, and this just matched nicely. And that's one of the main things that I like about the EAPs. You get a variety of designs. The design team members have taken a ton of time in order to create such gorgeous images for you to cut out. And then on top of it, there's a variety. I love that. And I absolutely love the one-piece dies this time. It makes it really easy to cut everything out in one go and just makes the process just kind of fly by. Now you can see for the green tag, I've added some cream ribbon, and then for the blue tag, I'm adding some white. Now you could use whatever you'd like. You could use some twine, you could use some thread, use whatever works for you. I love this ribbon and cutting the tops at angles. I just think it looks really nice. And then you're probably wondering, you don't have a loop, so how do you attach it to your gift bags? Well, all I do is I just kind of take one of those strands of ribbon and I just tape it down the bottom one so that you still have a nice piece of ribbon in the front, and that's just how I attach it. Now to finish this one up, I'm just adding a bit of more shine, not that it needs it, with the magical iris gems here these ones are clear and they shine the rainbow. So I thought that they wouldn't take away too much from the shaker windows. So I've just added those on there. And that's pretty much it for these tags. Now, I hope that you will definitely give this method a try. Add some gilding flakes to your shaker windows, and you can see those little bits there in the center. They just look really nice. Now, you've also got the back that's completely plain, so you can use maybe a gel pen, a white gel pen or something lighter to kind of put your message and your to and from on there. And you could just see how gorgeous the foil looks inside. So I hope you guys will give this technique a try. Please do let me know how it goes. Comment down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Crafty Meraki channel. Hit the notification bell for future videos and future techniques. Have a great day, and I will see you guys again next Saturday. Bye.